A few years ago, if you told me that Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook were all on the same team, I would have called you crazy. But today, on the LA Clippers, that's exactly the case. And they might be one of the front runners for the championship this season. In this film review, we're going to go over some of the key plays from Kawhi Leonard and James Harden and how they really changed the Clippers for this season and how they may be the championship favorite inside the Western Conference. This first clip right here we're going to play, Kawhi Leonard gets the ball on a fast break from Paul George. He's kind of driving into the center of the paint, and what you see here is he immediately draws all of the eyes of the Dallas Mavericks defender. Immediately, Derek Lively's looking directly at him, who, by the way, has been an amazing rising star this season. Russell Westbrook goes out to the corner, but nobody's really worried about him, honestly, because Russell Westbrook's not a great three-point shooter. And you basically have the whole floor, including Luka, kind of looking at him. As we play the clip a little bit more right here, what we see here is Kawhi Leonard is able to dish this nice pass to who other than James Harden? Who would have thought he'd get a wide open three-point shot in this play when just about a couple of years ago, I mean, he was probably one of the better three-point shooting guards in the league. He was probably just right behind Steph Curry and the likes of Klay Thompson, but right here, he's getting a wide open three-point shot with Kyrie Irving kind of closing out on him, but I mean, that's not going to be good enough for one of the best NBA three-point shooters. In this next clip right here, though, we're going to juxtapose that with James Harden and kind of the shots he's able to create. In this specific play, he's going to be guarded here by Luka Doncic, but he's not able to make it over that Kawhi Leonard screen that he set right there, and he's immediately trailing behind the play, and Reggie Bullock is kind of stuck in a tough position, and this kind of showcases Luka Doncic's lack of defense in the NBA today. He's not exactly the best defender, hate to break it to y'all, but Reggie Bullock here is kind of left in no man's land. He's like, okay, I think Luka should switch onto Kawhi Leonard, but also I don't know if he's actually going to do that, but I totally need to guard James Harden because right now he's kind of driving into the lane against Dwight Powell, and Dwight Powell's kind of put in no man's land in this specific clip. So James Harden's able to get really deep by the rim, and Ivica Zubac does a nice job of kind of holding up Dwight Powell and making him commit even further into like the restricted area, that restricted circle, and this makes it so that James Harden's able to get up an easy floater with really no contest from Dwight Powell, and it's an easy shot that goes in. And this is all because of the fact that you have two elite playmakers in the same play. You have James Harden and you have Kawhi Leonard, and they both require a lot of attention from defenses, and that's why James Harden is able to get deep into the restricted area and make that easy floater. And just kind of showcases how much easier his points are coming these days compared to the past. In this next clip right here, we're going to have James Harden kind of setting one of his more patented plays, let's say, the pick and roll. So he's going to bring up Derek Lively here with Diabate, who's a two-way player. I don't know if he's actually on the Clippers anymore right now, but he's basically screening on the guard here that's guarding him, Kyrie Irving. And what you're going to see here is Diabate does a nice job of kind of holding Kyrie Irving in this specific clip, and it essentially forces a switch. But in this specific play, they're actually going to blitz James Harden, and it seems like that's the plan, is whenever James Harden is setting a pick and roll with Diabate, Kyrie Irving and Derek Lively are going to try to double James Harden so that he can't thread a pass in between. But James Harden is probably one of the more underrated passers in the league. Honestly, I would consider him probably a top 5 passer and assister in the NBA today. On the Nets, he really showcased that, and he's able to kind of thread this pass to Bitadze, and he's able to kind of get an easy dunk right here and, you know, get a easy 2 points for his team. And that really showcases the playmaking that Harden brings to this Clippers roster that really didn't have it before, and why you might have seen Russell Westbrook be so successful last year, just because they didn't really have a point guard, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, despite being amazing two-way players, aren't exactly the best point guards or assisters, and with James Harden, he definitely elevates that level of play. Now, check out a couple clips from the in-season tournament where we have a little bit more intensity, and so we can maybe dissect a little bit more of what they might do in the playoffs, which is where the Clippers hope to make it. So right here at the top of the key, we see James Harden is going to be dribbling the ball up the court a little bit, and we have Kawhi Leonard and PJ Tucker kind of setting a double screen right here. Just, it seems like to confuse the defense, where we have Christian Braun kind of guarding James Harden, and Aaron Gordon and Nikola Jokic are kind of drawn into the action right here. So this is going to be a complicated play right here. So what you see here is Kawhi Leonard is seemingly setting like a ghost screen here. He's trying to draw Braun off on the play and kind of get Gordon off of him. Gordon is probably the perfect matchup for somebody you want to guard Kawhi Leonard, just because Gordon has that strength, that girth, that ability to contest shots, and he's really long, sturdy, and he's able to contest shots at the top of the point. He's former I think he won the dunk contest actually, so dunk contest champion. So he's definitely not the guy you want guarding Kawhi Leonard. And so they make Braun switch onto James Harden, and that makes Gordon guard Harden. And one of probably Harden's biggest strengths versus Gordon is not going to be his ability to jump or contest shots or do anything athletic besides getting by him. Gordon's lateral quickness is probably one of his biggest weaknesses in terms of guarding guards like James Harden. And so what they're going to do right here is exploit that matchup even more. Now PJ Tucker is going to set a screen on Aaron Gordon, and this puts Jokic in a really terrible spot, honestly, right here, because Tucker is a great screener. He's going to make Gordon, you can already see he's really stuck on the screen, and there's all this space right here where James Harden's able to go and set up for a three-point shot, and Jokic always plays in this super deep drop, and it really hurts them whenever, he has James Harden coming downhill with so much space allowed to him that there's just really, Harden kind of has his pick of the litter right here. He can pass here. He could potentially draw it in for PJ Tucker, or what he's going to do, kind of just take that easy mid-range jump shot, which is something that, this is easy for an NBA player. There's basically no contest. Jokic doesn't even put his hand up, and that's cash money right there. And that really showcases the new ability of the Clippers. Instead of just doing Kawhi Leonard ISO play, Paul George ISO play, now they finally have sets they can run with James Harden as the primary action, and Kawhi Leonard doesn't really have to work too hard on those types of possessions. He just has to set the small screen, and honestly, if this possession ended up bad, it probably would end up back to Kawhi Leonard. He'd have Braun on him, and that would be an easier matchup than what Gordon would be. In this next clip right here, we're going to see Harden having the ball at the top of the key, and Ivica Zubac is going to try to set a screen. And what you're going to see right here is the goal of this Ivica Zubac screen is going to be to get Nikola Jokic on him. And the Nuggets seem to have adjusted from the last play where they got Jokic onto Harden, and instead they're going to blitz Harden by sending two at him. And this is a common strategy it seems like teams have used in his Houston days and seem to try and use now, but it's not going to work nearly as well when you have elite wing players like Kawhi Leonard, who is just pretty open right here, and you have an elite three-point shooter like Norman Powell. Right here in this clip, you don't see him off the screen, but Kawhi Leonard was pretty open from three. Powell, one of the best three-point shooters in the league this year, shooting well over 40%. He's getting an easy three-point shot with the defender closing out at him, and that's just not a shot you want to give an over 40% three-point shooter, and MPJ is just not able to close out, and that's cash money for three. And this, once again, showcases Harden's ability to pass over two defenders, make the right play, and pass it to a great three-point shooter. And you could see so many times in the playoffs where Harden might get doubled, or he might get scram switched on, or might have a position where he's not in an advantage, and he's able to kick it out to a great three-point shooter or a player like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard who can really take advantage of a mismatch. Right here in this clip, we're going to have Kawhi Leonard at the top of the key, and he's guarded by KCP. And KCP is probably one of the better matchups for Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, Aaron Gordon's probably the best, but KCP has long been one of the better wing defenders in the league. And it seems like they're trying to apply the same type of pressure to Kawhi Leonard right here in this clip. You have Jokic and KCP trying to double him. Kawhi Leonard, on the other hand, is not usually as good of a passer as James Harden. And honestly, he struggles in these types of situations where he's guarded by two defenders and making the pass out of it. He struggles to make the right read. Right here, you have Aaron Gordon kind of protecting the rim, trying to make sure that, if they're able to get to the rim, he's able to contest it. But Kawhi Leonard, maybe unintelligently, honestly, there was an open pass there in the middle of the lane right here earlier, but he ends up driving in a little bit too deep, it seems like, and he's guarded by essentially three defenders right here. But, Kawhi Leonard is a beast. He's been an absolute robot this season. He is 50, 40, 90 right now, I believe. One of the only players that's really close on high volume, and he hasn't even missed a game really at this point. He's healthier than he's ever been, and that's been an amazing accomplishment for somebody as injured as Kawhi Leonard. And he ends up missing this shot, but the fact that he could even get it off kind of showcases what a Terminator Kawhi Leonard is. All right, here we have a clip by James Harden. Once again, this is Leonard setting the pick and roll, which we don't really see that often, honestly. And this is also versus the Dallas Mavericks. And this is one of the first plays of the game, clearly kind of drawn up. And they're hoping, it seems like, to get a switch for Kawhi Leonard onto a smaller guard like Kyrie Irving in this specific case. And Grant Williams is going to be on James Harden. So a clear mismatch right here. Grant Williams doesn't really have that lateral speed that James Harden has. Kawhi Leonard doesn't really have lateral speed, which is why they stuck Grant Williams on him. But now with Kyrie Irving on him, Kawhi Leonard is probably one of the stronger players in the NBA, and now he has probably one of the weaker players in the NBA on him, more of a finesse player in Kyrie Irving. And so James Harden's just going to give it to him right here, and he's able to kind of easily go up and get that floater. Derek Lively does do a nice contest at the end, but he really had no chance of getting to that ball whatsoever. And that really features the Clippers lineup as a whole. They have new sets with James Harden that they can run that allow for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to get mismatches onto smaller guards and smaller wing defenders. And James Harden is able to make that insane pass over 2 defenders, over 3 defenders to them and get them into those mismatches so that they can easily take advantage of it. And that's why I believe the Clippers are going to be successful this season, because if they continue to have James Harden play at this elite level and continue to create those mismatches and have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George maximize those mismatches, they can really be an elite team that can make it potentially to the championship. With that in mind, guys, thank you guys for listening to this film review, and please like, subscribe, and comment below what you guys would like to see next.